Hello, everyone. Today I am very honored to be doing an interview with the one, the only Brandon Cole. Brandon, I just want to say once again, thank you so much for being here today. I know you have a quite a busy schedule, but
First of all, thank you for having me.
it's
Uh,
really nice.
it's really cool to be the one, the only Brandon Cole. That was quite an introduction there, so thanks for that. Um, but no, I'm glad to be here talking about this. I view as part of what I do, so it's no problem at all.
Well, so let me first start by asking you a little about, because I know you talked about this previously, but just in case we have some people who never heard of you, could you tell me a bit about your origin? Like how did you get into gaming? How did you get into the where did your journey with accessibility, your passion for accessibility start?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell the wonderful story. I love to tell it, and it's a bit of a long story, but here we go. So I got into gaming thanks to a practical joke played on me by my brother. My wonderful older brother told me once when I was about 6 years old, "Hey, let's play Super Mario Brothers." And at the time, I was like, "But that's a video game. I can't play video games. They involve seeing things. The word video means you have to see it, right?" But he convinced me, and I still to this day I don't remember exactly what he said to convince me, but he convinced me. So we went into the room where our Nintendo was located, and he hands me a controller and fires up the game. And before you know it, I'm jumping, I'm collecting coins, I'm breaking bricks, I'm destroying enemies, I'm saving the princess. What's this? We beat the entire game, and I did it all? Amazing! I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. And then, of course, my brother delivered the punchline, which was that he had handed me an unplugged controller while he played the entire game. He played the entire game this way. So I was
Oh,
crushed at the time. Little 6 year old me was crushed at the time. But at the time, I remember that I vowed that one day I would beat a game without his help. And at the time, I only vowed to beat one game. Um, and so I started, messing around. I started figuring things out. I learned that there were patterns to games. I learned that you could learn what a sound in a game meant and what it did and what each button did, and you could learn these things. So once I figured that out, I started having some occasional success with games. Sometimes I figured out a way to get past a level or something like that. And eventually, I did beat a game without my brother's help, and that game was Killer Instinct for the Super Nintendo. Um, and I never looked back. I never stopped gaming after that. My vow just became I'm just going to keep on gaming. So that's how that happened. Um, and I've been doing that ever since. But ever since that time, I've kind of always been an accessibility consultant in my head, and I think the way I got into gaming is part of the inspiration for that. I do think that I think so much about how a game could be playable because I encountered one that I thought I was playing and I wasn't playing, and that made me really think about what I would need to be able to play it on my own. Um, and so I thought about that a lot, and eventually, my now fiance told me that I should blog about it. um, Basically convinced me to write down these ideas that I kept having all the time because I kept telling her what they were. She kept playing games for me that I couldn't play, and I kept coming up with these ideas. And she said, "Write them down. There's no one doing that. There's no resource for this stuff." So I started doing that, and that got me some attention. Got me invited to GDC in 2014, the Game Developers Conference in 2014, to speak on a panel about mobile accessible gaming. I came there as the blind gamer perspective, not as a consultant. I wasn't a consultant yet. I was just a blind gamer who had a perspective on blind gaming, and they wanted me to speak on that. So I did that speech, impressed a few people, including Ian Hamilton, who then co-founded the Game Accessibility Conference, and he invited me to speak at the first one in 2017, and that is where I connected with Naughty Dog, uh, and impressed them apparently enough where they talked to me after my panel there or my speech there, and then eventually went on to hire me to work on The Last of Us 2. And that is the moment when I knew that this is what I want to do for my career. This is something that I could do. People listen to the things I have to say, and people are interested in what I have to say, and I have good ideas. Um, and so, the rest is history. That's where my career started.
Nice. Yeah, I have to say, I've been following you for a few years now, and I'm always impressed by how positive you are. I think that plays a big role in people's perceptions of
Yeah,
you plays a big role um in whether you get opportunities or not. And
yeah, I think that's fair.
I really think you just show that passion for accessibility, and that I think makes people think, wow, but if he can do it, then what is our excuse for
Right,
holding
right.
back?
Right, and that's I get that a lot. I'm always told that my passion is the thing that comes through the most when I speak, and that is I think a very important thing. I think it absolutely has helped me reach people that I might not have otherwise reached.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, no, and then you mentioned that The Last of Us Part Two was your breakthrough point. Um,
Yep.
so how did looking back from then to now, obviously with the Forza team contacting you to work on the next Forza Motorsports title. Um, I mean, obviously you've learned a lot. I think we're always learning, we're always improving.
Yeah.
So when they contacted you and said, "Hey, listen, we want you to work on this game. We want your input on this." How did you react upon receiving that email? I mean, you're a professional, but of course, we do have feelings. We do.
Sure.
I
Sure.
mean, like when watching your trailer, um, I could hear the feeling in your voice. Um, so yeah, how did you tell us a bit about that? How did you feel upon receiving that email?
You're talking about the email about Forza or the email about Last of Us 2? Because
The
those are very different things.
Yes, there are. The email about Forza, and then
About
also
Forza.
just
Okay.
expand upon what you've learned since The Last of Us 2, because obviously some of the stuff you learned there could be implemented here. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It all translates as far as game development goes. So, first part of that question, how I felt about Forza, I felt kind of vindicated when I got the Forza email. The reason I say that is because what got me the job with Forza was another speech. So we keep going back to speeches with me, but it was honestly another speech. It was a speech that I was allowed to give. Tara Volkar, who is a big name in Xbox accessibility, she brought me in to do a speech to a bunch of Xbox development teams. There were representatives there from a bunch of Xbox studios, and I was given the chance to talk to them about accessibility and my thoughts on it. And during that speech, I was very honest and very candid, and I told them the absolute truth, which was that at the time, I felt that Xbox accessibility was lagging behind when it came to totally blind people. I felt that we were being left behind, and I delivered, in my opinion, what is a really great line during that speech. And I said, "Games aren't for everyone until they are." And that speech apparently got to people in a good way, and that's what got me the job. They respected my honesty, they respected my open approach. They wanted someone who would work on accessibility, but also be honest with them and tell them when it wasn't working. And that's what I've been to them ever since. Um, so I was vindicated when I got that email. I was like, yes, they listened, and I'm gonna go do this because we can make something good together. And I think we have.
yeah, no, I mean, just going off the trailer that you guys did once again, it sounds really well thought out, really well put together. I've had a look at the article they published concerning the accessibility features in the game. And I have to say, this actually leads me to my next question, because even though I've read it, it's like I still don't fully believe it, because
Oh,
I
but it's
mean
real.
we're going from um, steering assist in Forza 7 to being able to drive ourselves,
Hmm.
do everything ourselves, which is that really real? Is this really happening? I mean,
I I go back to the video that we made with Xbox about this, and I just say all I'll say is the thing I said at the end of that video, which was, "Hey, blind people that want to play Forza, I offer you control. At last, you have control. It is real, 100%. It is going to be in your hands. Can't tell you when. We're not sharing the release date yet, but it is real."
yeah, no, I can't wait for this. I'd like to actually, once this comes out, I'm getting it on Game Pass, and I'd like to, if you're not too busy, maybe one weekend have a challenge where the two of us
Ah,
race one another.
I mean, I won't say no to that. We'll definitely have to plan it in advance, but I won't say no. It would be kind of fun. And the cool thing is, I know, and I'm okay with this, by the way. I know that I'm not going to be the best blind player for very long. And I know this because, before Forza, um, before working on Forza, I absolutely admit that I wasn't much of a racing game guy. I'm happy to work on any project. I'm happy to make games accessible. I'm happy to bring experiences to the blind that they've never had before. But if you'd asked me before this, I would have said no. I'm not really much of a racing guy. So I know that I don't have as much of a passion for racing as a sport as some others do. I've already talked to other blind people that are really excited because they're huge racing fans, and that's not the place where I'm coming from. So I know that I won't be the best for long. But for now, if you challenge me early enough, you might have a tough time.
Well, I will look forward to that. This actually leads me to my next question. Um, I don't know if you can tell us this, but how much of the multiplayer stuff will we be able to do?
Okay, so multiplayer is kind of an interesting topic of conversation right now, but I can say something. So here's what we've got. Right now, as it currently stands, we are currently considering the BDA system, the blind driving assist system in Forza, best optimized for the single player modes. That said, and I want to be very clear on this, that said, we do not intend and we will not lock you out. We still want you to play multiplayer if multiplayer is what you want to play. What we're saying is the system we've currently built is best optimized for single player modes. It will still work in multiplayer, but we need to work on some things like traffic awareness and things like that, so you can better deal with the other player cars on the track. We need to
Yes.
work on those things. The cool thing is this is the first project where I get to stay on the project after launch. So Forza being a live service game, I get to stay on and help make it even more accessible, even post launch. So I can take feedback and work on it directly, which I've never been able to do on a project before, which is really, really, really neat. So I'll be overseeing all this advancement, and we are going to try to get it in a better position for multiplayer. But again, we're never going to lock you out. If you really want to play multiplayer, go ahead and play multiplayer. Don't let us stop you. Just know that the way we currently see our system, it's currently just right now best optimized for the single player modes.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, I have to say that I am glad that you'll be able to continue after launch. I think it's going to be a big
Yeah,
help. Because you know this is still a big step for even with Microsoft having their guidelines, and you know um the Forza team having done some stuff in the past. This is like a gigantic step.
Yeah,
So
it really is.
yeah, I'm super excited that you'll be able to provide support to them even after launch. Um, the one thing I also wanted to ask you was you mentioned that this was gonna be quite a learning curve. Um,
Yeah, that's we're being very honest about that because I think that's the best way to be. We don't want you to go in with blinders on, pun intended. Uh, you know, the thing is, racing is complicated, and an actual racing game that is on this level is very complicated. There are, I'm sure many of you know, there are racing games that exist for the blind. There are audio only racing games that exist. Examples are like Top Speed. There was an old game called Rail Racer, which fell out pretty quickly, but it was pretty good back in the day. But the thing is, those games are made by sometimes one person, sometimes two or three people, very very small teams, and compared to the scope of a game like Forza, they're very very small. And when I say that, I mean in every way, not just because of the amount of cars. Sure, Forza is going to have over 500 cars. That's one aspect of it. But another thing you have to consider is the the fact that this is a simulation racing game and the systems in this game are far more complex. For instance, physics, and that's the thing I love to bring up because it's the biggest difference between audio racing games and this is physics. There's a lot of physics in this game and a lot of things you have to consider. There are car physics, so every car is going to handle differently than every other car. Not only that, you can tune these cars, you can customize them, you can add parts to them, you can give them a different engine, different tires, different everything. Um, and that will further modify how the car handles. Not only that, but there are weather systems in this game, so there are weather physics to take into account. It could be raining, and when it's raining, your tires are going to slip and slide. There's a lot of things you have to consider in this game that you don't have to consider in a lot of audio racing games, and that combined with the fact that because it is a simulation racing game, there's a lot of internal car physics that are taken into account. So you have to kind of have an understanding of how cars work, which, I understand that there are some blind people that are into racing and look into these things, but not everyone is, and not everyone does. And the thing is, just working on this project, I've learned a lot of basic things that I just did not understand before about cars, not just about the game, not just about racing, but about cars in general. And it's that knowledge that is going to help the blind a lot when it comes to racing. Like for example, one of the examples I give a lot when I do these interviews is I didn't know until I started working on this project that when you're racing, when you go into a turn, that you have to slow down. That might sound crazy to some people. Some people are all up on racing. Some people totally get it. I didn't get it. Absolutely did not get it. I thought, well, but this is a racing game. Don't you want to go as fast as you possibly can at all times? No, it turns out you don't, because if you if you're going very fast, turning a really sharp corner is actually more difficult. And there's also a whole thing about applying the idea of not braking and turning at the same time because they operate differently in terms of physics on your car. So it's very difficult to do both at once. You can do both at once, but you'll do both slower than you would
yes.
normally. It's just there's a lot to take in. There's a lot to learn. So we have a bunch of systems that are there to help you around the track to give you the information you need to learn these things. But there's a lot of complexity to learn. There's a lot of information you need to take in, and a lot of systems you need to get familiar with in order to race successfully. But um, the, the firm belief is, and I firmly believe this, that you can do it, but you have to be able to commit to spending time learning it and getting used to it.
Mm, mm. I have to say, with in terms of the physics, I am in the same boat as you. I
Yeah,
I'm also not used to braking when I have to turn. Um,
yeah, yeah.
I can see this is gonna catch me like at least the first 50 times or so.
Sure. I mean, you're gonna skid off track a lot, but that's how you learn.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's all
You
right.
you can only learn by doing.
Yeah, and you will definitely learn because you'll get those track limit beeps, and you'll get the off-road sounds to indicate you're off track, and then you might even get the wall crash sound. So who knows? But the important thing is that you stick with it and you commit to figuring it out and learning it, and you will learn a lot. And we're going to do our best too to provide resources that you can use to help you learn as well. We're going to try to. There's going to be some stuff in game you can use, little informational things on the blind driving assist settings in the settings menu, little previews you can listen to that will kind of explain what the systems do and how they work. So there will be some help there, and we're going to do our best to provide more. There might be some really cool kind of outside the game things that'll be happening later too. I don't want to talk about those yet, but there might be some really cool things that we're doing for that.
Oh wow! I'll be keeping an eye out for those. But
Indeed.
you mentioned that you have to auto tune your car. Or you have to tune your car. Sorry, auto
Not
tune.
auto tune. That's a different thing entirely.
I'm just imagining the car going wee. Like
An auto tuned engine.
no. But you mentioned that you have to tune your car, and I assume that that's also going to be fully accessible.
Oh yeah. We're talking narration in the stratosphere here. We're talking very customizable full game narration. We're not going halfway with this, all right? This is not going to be a this menu is not narrated situation. This is that's not happening. I am working on this game. I won't let that happen.
That is very, very good news because I can't tell you how many times I've played a game. Like let's take Gears 5 for instance, and they get so close, and then it's like so close but so far.
Yeah, I agree. I had a
So
lot of problems with Gears 5, but I won't go into that here.
yeah, we can talk a bit about that another date, maybe just like the two of us on a chat or something. Um, or maybe even do a video on Gears and what we would like to see improved. But back on topic now. Can you tell me a little about the? Because I see this title also has pit stops. On at least that is the information I'm seeing on the web. And are you allowed to give talk a little about that? Will we be told when we're approaching a pit stop?
So what this is kind of like riding the edge here because there are some things about pitting I can't discuss. But what I will say is that we do have a feature called Pit Entry Assist, which allows you to determine when you would like to enter a pit when on the lap you'd like to pit. So if you press a button,
Oh.
you'll activate Pit Entry Assist, and then when you get to the pit area, the AI will kind of take over your car just for a moment to bring you into the pit.
Oh, that is neat. Okay. Um, then you did a little like with The Last of Us. You said it had a like this many audio cues. So if you had to estimate, well, you probably don't have to estimate, but how many audio cues does Forza have?
Let me see. We have deceleration, we have track limits, we have wrong way, we have turn countdown, turn gates. Let's see. Well, there's kind of like diegetic audio cues too that happen when. There's the pit assist audio cue. Man, there's a lot. Probably somewhere in the area of there's shifting cues too. Man, there's so many. I'd say probably comparatively less than The Last of Us because it is a more focused experience. But I would say probably somewhere in the area of like 12 to 15 audio cues for different things. But keep in mind, all of those can be customized to your desires, your liking. You can turn any of them off if you don't want them, because we want you to have that ability to customize and play the way you want to play. You can also adjust the volumes and pitch of each individual audio cue. So pretty cool.
That is really neat. I mean, you guys really put a lot of work into this. And while we're on that topic, I also want to ask you. There are two questions on this topic I would like to ask. The first is once again with audio and the dynamic audio descriptions.
Yes, that's a very popular topic.
So, are these descriptions like done before the race? You know, like before the race
They
starts?
are done. They are done in all cinematic moments surrounding the race, and that can include, without going into too specific a detail, some moments during a race. Dun dun dun.
Wow. I'll definitely. I'm getting more and more excited for this game.
Well, that's the idea. That's why I'm here, right?
So now I want to ask you a little about um the people you work with at Forza. What is it that stands out for you? Um, uh, you know, from your perspective, what is it that stands out for you with the people you work with?
I think the thing that stands out the most for me is that I am essentially treated not as an outside consultant. I'm essentially treated as part of the team. I work with these people every week, unlike all previous projects where I was brought in. I did some great consulting, sure, but I was brought in every now and then. And then, it might be a few email exchanges in between times I was brought in. But I was brought in, like for Last of Us, I was brought into studio. We did some brainstorming, we did some play testing. I'd go back, I'd keep thinking about it, and I'd probably email them a million times about new ideas that I had, because that's the way I am. Um, but we keep talking about it while I was gone, and then I'd come back, play test something else, brainstorm again. This time, I'm working on Forza every single week. I mean, I can even tell you now, I work on Forza on Tuesdays and Wednesdays every week. That's what I'm working on Forza. And it's a very different experience. I have, I'm all set up the same way that they would be set up if they were working remotely. Um, it's just a huge difference, and it really, I think, has improved the ability to work on this project, especially because heading into the racing genre has been a very complex endeavor. I've already described how complex this game is and how complex our systems are, and that took a lot of iteration and tuning to get to where we are now. And I don't think that would have been possible if I was only coming in every 3 months or so. So I've done a lot of work with them, and the general approach to this project has been very different and very, very, very good. It's been very welcoming. I felt like a part of the team, and it's been great to work with these guys.
Yeah, I have to say I'm really glad that um they brought you in and that you are actually getting to spend so much time on the game.
Yeah,
Because of course that minimizes the problems that could occur at launch as well. Because I mean, while you're making suggestions, you're also kind of playtesting. Um,
yeah. I'm literally working on these things, and we can work on things and change things live, and that's the plan. After launch, the plan is to just start taking feedback from the blind community that is playing Forza, and saying, "Hey, what do you guys think of it? Maybe this thing that I helped to design isn't working so well." I have to accept the fact that I am still just one person, um, and as I'm very competent at my job. I'm very confident in myself too about what I do, but I am just one person, and the community may disagree with the decision that I've made. But the cool thing is that's okay, because we can still iterate, we can still work on it, we can still find a balance. Um, we've already gotten some user research player feedback, and we're already working on those things now. So, it's really cool.
while you're on that, how can we like? Because I know a lot of people want to send feedback often, and then they send it like, for instance, on the audio games forum. And let's be real here for a second. Not many mainstream devs check the will check that specific website
I
because
think you'd
they've
be
got so
surprised,
much.
actually. I think you'd actually be surprised at that. I think there are devs out there who choose not to respond in a direct fashion. But I think if you knew how many mainstream devs did check audio games to see what the feedback was, you'd be surprised.
I will
They may
take.
not respond directly there, but I believe you'd be surprised that they're out there. They know audio games exist. A lot of them do. I mean, it's audio games is a place that I bring up all the time, so I make
Yes.
sure devs know it exists. So um, it is a legitimate way of providing feedback. It is something that they will likely check.
Cool. Um.
But of course, I'll take feedback too. Like if you want to give me feedback directly, I mean, I'm there. I can take it. You know,
Cool.
I'm in a
Cool.
position where I can actually take it and work on it.
Yes, and I think a lot of people, because a lot of times when, I mean, because we as the blind community don't always deal with, bigger companies, and then we get kind of, some of us get kind of peeved when we don't get a response because
Yeah, I understand.
a lot of blind people don't necessarily know how much feedback these developers have to go through. And I mean, obviously, you can't respond to each and every single one of those. Um,
Yeah,
so I think
we're gonna
that
do our best, of course.
that
Yeah,
would also help a lot of people just to know that their feedback is being heard and it is being
yeah,
listened to. Um,
and directly worked on. Like
yes,
if you give me feedback one week, I'll probably work on it the next week. Who knows?
yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real. You're one person, and there are a lot of like. I mean, Forza's got a great team working on this project. Um,
Yeah, we really do.
and although, I mean, implementing fixes is not always instantaneous.
Right,
Um,
right. It won't be the actual patch that I would work on might not happen right away. But what I'm
yes,
saying is I can start the work. If I get some feedback one week, I might be able to start that work and work on getting that resolved the very next week.
yes, yes.
So
No, I have to say, I'm really, really excited to see what's going to happen with this. Um, gonna do my best to get it on day one.
yeah.
Um, I won't be able to play it on Xbox, but I will try on my PC. I've got a i5 laptop, so it should work. Um, but I just want to once again I want to thank you for being here. For taking the time to talk to us about this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you're very welcome.
and then I also want to I don't know how many people from Turn 10 will watch this. But I also want to
Probably more than one.
I also want to take this opportunity to thank them for reaching out, bringing you in on this, and you know taking this step in the first place because none of this would be possible without them either. So I just want to
Very true.
take this chance to also thank them and say what a great opportunity. I actually want to say because you always say disability this or rather this is breaking barriers. Um, I want to take the chance to say this is actually this is empowerment at its best.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
that a lot.
I just want to thank them and I it's been really great having you on the channel. Um,
Yeah. It's been great to be here.
and yeah, we'll definitely speak more in the future as well. I hope. I hope this is not
Sure.
the last one.
Maybe we
Um,
can do a post-launch little video as well together.
yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Um, kind of seeing the excitement coming to fruition. Eh?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the idea.
Um, would you mind just staying on for just a few seconds after we stop the
Yeah,
video?
sure.
Cool. So yeah, it's been really good having you. And we will definitely speak more.
Like, comment, and subscribe, everyone.
Yeah, please do, everyone, and share as much as feel free to share as much as you want.
Yes, absolutely.